Welcome to Besiege Bots, the home of robotic combat in Besiege. Tonight we will have the qualifiers of the Besiege Bots Spring Bash Cup. But first let's go through some rules. If a robot can no longer drive straight and turn at regular speed, it has lost. If a robot gets put out of the arena for whatever circumstance, it has lost. Qualifiers are best of 3, meaning the first robot to score 2 points wins. We like to keep it short and snappy around here, so let's get right into the action. For our first competitors, we have Blue Bullet, a ram bot. High speed and maneuverability are key. Frail secondary drive system is a worry. And for its opponent, we have Sardonyx from the United States with an overhead extending hammer, very interesting, but it has a frail chassis. And so the competitors are off. Blue Bullet in an absolute haze of speed, charging in a Sardonyx, almost flipping it over. Very impressive driving so far from Blue Bullet. Sardonyx trying to keep up, trying to keep the plow aimed at Blue Bullet, but Blue Bullet is pushing very hard, putting a lot of pressure on Sardonyx. Blue Bullet escapes, Sardonyx sets up for a slam, there's one hit. I think it didn't hit anything frail though. Sardonyx getting the hammer down with that deceptive reach. Blue Bullet though is absolutely smashing into Sardonyx at this point. The real strength about Blue Bullet here is what I'm seeing, is that it can run away very fast. It can charge in and get out in basically too little time for Sardonyx to actually get a hammer hit in, so this is going to be a difficult matchup for Sardonyx. An interesting strategy for it could be to hit the props on the back of Blue Bullet with the hammer, since that'll break that frail secondary drive system, so it will only be using its wheels to drive. However, Sardonyx has yet to have been able to do anything to great effect to stop Blue Bullet's onslaught. Gets put onto the air pit by Blue Bullet. Blue Bullet comes in with another smack, setting up for another one. Here it comes. Right into, not quite into the spike strip, upending Sardonyx though, or going for the pit. Didn't quite get it. In comes another big slam from Blue Bullet across the arena, straight into the wall. That must have really, that really hurt. That broke Sardonyx's chassis in half. I think what I see laying on the floor there is a self-righting gyroscope, which was also its aiming assist, and a gyro, which I think it uses for steering. Sardonyx having an awful lot of trouble getting itself back together as Blue Bullet just watches on. And finally comes in for another slam as Sardonyx has recovered from the almost fatal blow. It is still going, but it's struggling at this point. Blue Bullet waits to see if the judges are going to count it as immobile. Sardonyx defiantly swings its hammer at Blue Bullet. And Blue Bullet is obviously just going to go back to its regular old game plan, slam into Sardonyx to score aggression, control, all of that good stuff. Sardonyx flailing around, hoping to fix its chassis so it can move properly again. Having a lot of trouble with this though. Blue Bullet is somewhere completely else in the arena. There it is. Goes for another slam into the arena wall. Backs off, sees if Sardonyx is broken yet. Comes in for another slam as Sardonyx is desperately trying to get its chassis back together. Almost got it there, but flipped it over again. Going for a rotisserie hammer at this point. Flips itself onto Blue Bullet, almost gets a hit in. No wait, it did get a hit in. There is a... Oh, there goes another one. It has hit 2 of Blue Bullet's props, so Blue Bullet is off center now. So a bit of damage done to Blue Bullet. However, I think it's fair to say that Sardonyx's damage taken is a lot more significant. Blue Bullet is just honestly dominating Sardonyx. Sardonyx has trouble even moving at this point. Comes in for another slam, just for good measure. We see the gyro rig on the left hand of our camera. Sardonyx just really struggling at this point, and that will be the match. And, oh, not quite. I was a little too early on that. My apologies. There we go. That is time, and I think it's fair to say that that is decisively Blue Bullet's win. And so we go into match 2. And so match 2 starts. Blue Bullet hurls itself across the arena, and Sardonyx goes absolutely flying. Sardonyx has to get a decisive win here, otherwise it is out, and that would be very, that would be shit for it, essentially. Sardonyx has actually taken incredibly significant damage already. One of the plows has completely come off, and there is another piece in the background there that I cannot quite see what it is. I also believe I notice an instability in Blue Bullet, so it might have already lost a prop. I see 3 pieces laying around, and one I'm not quite sure what it is. Blue Bullet goes for a pit press as Sardonyx tries to gather itself back up, just pushing it into the wall as it struggles with self-righting. And there it goes, gets another push into the wall, straight into the spike scripts actually. There it is, there is the prop of Blue Bullet that came off earlier in the match. So some damage has been dealt by Sardonyx. Ooh, goes for a massive flip on the air flip. Gets pushed around a bit more, put on the rotating plate if I am correct. Getting pushed into the wall now. Some more pushing happening. Obviously this is Blue Bullet's greatest strength, and almost only strength. Another big push into the arena wall. Going for another push as one of the plows slides into view. Oh, it has a fan on it, so that's why it was moving by itself. Blue Bullet is shedding a lot of props at this point. I think it has lost every single prop, so it's not going to be doing as well as before. Yeah, there is no props left on that. There has been significant damage done to its secondary drive system. However, Sardonyx has lost half of its chassis, so far this is quite even. Blue Bullet is now kind of struggling to get traction from something, as normally it uses the air as well as its wheels to push around. However, it's only 2-wheel drive, so once the props are gone, it is definitely lacking in that explosive pushing power that it normally has. Sardonyx still kind of struggling to move around. It seems that the hammer might be a little bit too thin, so it's very hard to actually aim at the opponent. Gets put onto the air pit again, falls onto its side. Though I think it still has its self-righting gyroscope, so it could use that, but instead opts for the hammer. And Sardonyx might get some hits in here. It's aligned perfectly with Blue Bullet. Doesn't quite go for it. And Sardonyx falls over, accelerating. Self-rights though with the hammer, that is some style points. Blue Bullet is just vibrating wildly, as I think it has also lost one of the hinges that connects the prop to the body. So it is shaking even more vigorously than it would normally. Sardonyx jumps over Blue Bullet, massive style points there. But Blue Bullet is still mostly in control of this match, despite not having the props, because Sardonyx is just having a lot of trouble getting a decent hit in. As I think it has also taken a bit more damage later on. The left-hand side is completely detached now, though that might have happened earlier, I only just noticed it. Blue Bullet just pushing Sardonyx as it goes. Sardonyx almost pits itself. That would have been bad, and that is going to be the match. Sardonyx was doing better, but not quite good enough, and that means that Blue Bullet moves on to the next round. For our next competitors, we have Hick from the US with a vertical disc and an asymmetrical chassis, which has not been seen before. And from the UK, we have Lioness 3, also a vertical disc bot, has 2 plows though. And so begins match 1 between Lioness and Hick. Lioness going as quickly as it can across the arena, as they are both seemingly having some trouble biting into each other, which is unexpected. Oh, Hick falls onto Lioness. Lioness's blade. Lioness's blade has stopped. Ah, okay, no, the driver is just very adamant on when to control it. As you can see, there is a little bit of trouble biting here. There's a really big hit. That has actually completely knocked out Lioness's weapon drive system and the weapon. Massive damage done as Hick honestly kind of fell onto Lioness, and that's it. Hick is lacking in pushing power though, as its asymmetrical chassis doesn't quite direct the force nicely, I suppose, from the back wheels, which it has 3 of, interestingly enough. However, as you can see, Lioness with that wedge is having the advantage on the asymmetrical plow setup of Hick. Hick is having a lot of trouble getting any sort of biting because of that weirdly positioned plow on the front. It's honestly kind of a pushing match at this moment. Lioness getting control points, but not much else, so this is a pretty close match so far. Hick remains aggressive, but is honestly unable to do anything with said aggression, in the same way that Lioness is unable to do anything with the control it has. It just sort of slowly pushes it around the arena, and that's all it can do. A flip from Lioness, which was mostly due to Hick stopping, as Lioness adamantly keeps pushing it into the air pit. Up it goes. Will it break anything? It has not broken anything. No damage. Control points though. Some more control points using the hazards to its advantage. Hick backing out, trying to find a way to approach Lioness that does not involve going into the plows. Gets a bite while being flipped by the floor raiser as it gets pushed into the arena wall, struggling to get out or get any sort of fight going on with Lioness 3. This is a surprisingly tame fight for 2 vertical spinners. As Lioness just continues to play the wedge, that is the only thing it can do at this point. Scoring control points, putting it into the hazards, once more into the spike strip. As it pushes it towards the pit, Hick realizes this in time, backs out, realizes it's not worth the risk. They are kind of stuck in each other at this point, I think. Hick falls over. That is a dangerous position to be in, as it needs to self-right here. Oh, and it flings itself straight into the pit. Well, that is match 1, won by Lioness. Let us go into match 2. And so begins Fight 2. Hick has to win this to stay in the competition, as it trundles along slowly, as it usually does. Hick does not have a loss of drive power, but that asymmetrical frame is coming in handy here, allowing it to... Actually, it's not coming in handy at all. It is being pushed by Lioness. I thought they were recoiling off each other, but Lioness clearly still has the traction. Not scoring... Oh, there's the aggression points I was just about to mention. Lioness was not scoring. A chunk from Hick fell off. I think it was the left plow that came flying off as Lioness turned on its blade. Hick struggling to get back up with that left plow as Lioness goes for a tactical retreat, gets the pit release just in case. Hick trundling along. Oh, as it goes absolutely soaring. My goodness, I don't think we've ever seen a bot go that high from a vertical disc, as its whole back chassis just falls off. And that is all its drive wheels. That is a KO. Wow, that means Lioness goes on to the next round with a 2-0 victory over Hick. For our next match, it is Control City with Wide Boy Light, one of the widest push bots in the competition. It's very wide, but an exposed self-righter. Love Me with frail arm connections, unfortunately, but it is a very wide grappler. And so begins the match between Love Me and Wide Boy Light. This is going to be possibly a slow match, but as we can see right now, they are sort of dancing in the arena, feeling each other up, seeing what's up. Love Me is slowly pushing it towards the floor raiser. Gets it on there. Gets 2 minor flips in, but because Wide Boy is obviously so incredibly wide, does not fear the floor raiser. Goes for a pit press as Love Me just comes in with a bunch more pushing power and is honestly outdriving Wide Boy at this point. There they go again, they are dancing, spinning around each other, feeling each other up. What's gonna go down here? Love Me trying to get a clamp on the side, which is the only side it can effectively grab from. However, it's not quite getting it off. So it goes back into pushing around Wide Boy, which we expected to actually be able to outdrive Love Me, but Love Me showing off that it has a lot of traction. Wide Boy turning on its vacuum as Love Me is trying to put it onto the air pit. Gets flipped over, but it has a self-righter, that very exposed self-righter on the left-hand side. As Love Me goes for a ride on top of Wide Boy. Wide Boy scoring some control points here. As Love Me dances right off of him, there are some style points there. As Love Me just shoves it right back into its corner. And this is pretty much going expected as we thought. Neither competitor is really able to do anything to each other. They're both very wide machines, but all they can do is push because one of them has a weapon that cannot grab the other one because that one is too wide. Very interesting matchup, this. Wide Boy goes for another vacuum. Not quite doing anything as it goes straight over Love Me. Gets pushed into the arena wall once more. Love Me only scoring aggression and control, while Wide Boy is also scoring aggression for it is also continuously driving forward. They go for another dance. Wonder if Love Me will ask Wide Boy out to the prom. Wide Boy gets put onto the air pit, but nothing really happens because it is so wide. Ooh, Love Me almost gets a pit there onto Wide Boy, but Wide Boy realized this in time and got out of the way. They're dancing around the pit now, trying to score a KO on each other. Bad position for Wide Boy to be in, as Love Me has the traction. Oh, but Love Me explodes as it tries to clamp down on Wide Boy. And it actually, one of the pieces exploded into our arena reset button, which is outside of the arena. So Wide Boy goes for another button press, as it attempts to get an easy pit with Love Me taking such significant damage. That is half the chassis gone. I honestly don't know what to say. I guess it is now mostly in Wide Boy's favor, but Love Me was controlling the whole rest of this match so far. So this is going to be tough to judge. Love Me and Wide Boy dancing around each other once more, as Wide Boy is actually still struggling to push this around. There we go, there's a minor push right into the arena wall. This is a very close match now, though, because Wide Boy is going to score a lot of points on damage. Even if it is self-inflicted, it will go to Wide Boy, as Wide Boy is basically undamaged entirely. Off comes another drive wheel. Love Me is still mobile, though, which is pretty impressive considering the amount of damage taken. And that's going to be the match, and the judges actually decided it was so close that it was 22 to 23 in favor of Love Me, despite the massive damage done. Let's move on to match 2. And so we go into match 2. Love Me is really hurling itself across the arena. It has a lot of drive power for being a two-wheeled bot that is not being assisted by any sort of secondary drive system. It also has 4 gyroscopes, so it can basically turn any other robot around to where it wants to go. Ooh, this is a bad position for Love Me to be in. It has the drive power, but you never want to be facing the pit with your back in case you do a wheelie and shoot yourself in. Trying to get a grip on Wide Boy. Wide Boy running away at this point. Love Me scoring some aggression by chasing, as they dance once more in the middle of the arena, the only place they can safely dance with their ginormous width. As Wide Boy's positioning for something here. Love Me takes some damage, almost pits Wide Boy. Wide Boy backs out, comes in for another push. Oh, that was a bad angle to push him at, and down goes Wide Boy. And that is another win for Love Me, going through with a fairly decisive 2-0 victory over Wide Boy. For our next match, we have two of the most acrobatic machines in our Besiege Bots Discord, Pit Dodger and Lowrider Requiem. Both of these machines are very maneuverable, however, Lowrider has frail wheel joints. And so begins the driving match. Lowrider coming in with a spin maneuver to try and deflect Pit Dodger's charge, as Lowrider is now pushing, controlling Pit Dodger. Pit Dodger going for its regular acrobatics of dancing around the arena using those in-air gyroscopes, as it gets sort of stuck, but it will spin itself out eventually, as it's being thrown around by Lowrider. Gets a backhanded hit with the wedge on Lowrider as it went away. Lowrider currently in control of this match and scoring a lot of aggression with all this chasing going on, as it pins Pit Dodger briefly on the arena wall. Gets another lift in by the looks of it. Yes, there goes another one. Pit Dodger having a lot of trouble retaliating from this onslaught. It is really maneuverable though. It is getting out of these situations every time. Very good driving and good style points from Pit Dodger. Pit Dodger goes in with a body slam right there, spins off of the wall into the pit button. That, I've never seen a maneuver quite like that. That is very impressive driving by its driver. Oh, Lowrider with a giant flip. I think that might have been a combination of Pit Dodger's aerial gyroscopes and Lowrider's flip, though. I don't think that was entirely Lowrider's work. As Lowrider, living up to its name, constantly getting underneath Pit Dodger. Oh, but Pit Dodger, as it got pinned by the prongs from Lowrider, took Lowrider down for a suplex. That was impressive. As Pit Dodger showing a lot of aggression, just staying on Lowrider's prongs, gets thrown, which was probably again a combination of Pit Dodger doing its thing and Lowrider getting a lift in. Lowrider though is mostly in control of this match at this point. It is consistently flipping Pit Dodger and maneuvering it around. Oh, but there goes one of the drive wheels. That is very significant damage. As we mentioned earlier, it has really frail wheel joints. Really might be an overstatement, but it is the biggest weakness of the machine. As a Pit Dodger self-rights using those in-air gyroscopes, Lowrider still being very aggressive despite missing that wheel. Oh, Pit Dodger finally getting underneath Lowrider now that the prongs are not flush with the floor, as it now does a backflip to try and flip Lowrider. Lowrider gets another lift in as Pit Dodger dances on top of the air pit. Some control points from Lowrider once more, as Lowrider pins it down, throws it around some more. Pit Dodger dancing around. Lowrider going for another flip, but Pit Dodger dances out, as it has been doing most of this match. There is very good driving on both ends. It gets a nice little push going there, as it is consistently getting under Lowrider now, since the prongs are not flush, unless Lowrider is reversing, which is obviously not going to score you any aggression points, so that is not something you want to do too often. As Pit Dodger is obviously also able to outdrive it now, which is a massive disadvantage for Lowrider here. Pit Dodger is sort of coming back. It's still struggling to find an approach to Lowrider though. It's getting some slams in. Here comes a push. Doesn't quite back him into the wall. Lowrider attempted to go in front of the flip there, from the looks of things. Pit Dodger not quite outdriving it, but it is below Lowrider. Bounces over Lowrider, as Lowrider gets another flip and another throw. Pit Dodger dancing very closely to the pit. And that's going to be the match. And the judges scored this 22-23 in favor of Pit Dodger for that wheel damage sustained on Lowrider. So, Lowrider has to win this next match. Match 2. Lowrider has to win here to move on, as it goes in with that same spin maneuver it did earlier against Pit Dodger in its first match. Gets another pin and flip, almost flips itself over, as Pit Dodger is now below it. Pit Dodger going for its regular acrobatics of bouncing around all over the place. Gets underneath Lowrider once again, gets a good push into the arena wall here, as it bounces Lowrider into the air and then subsequently throws it around with the back end of the robot. Pit Dodger was made for style points, essentially. Gets another big flip. Oh! Oh no! Lowrider's steering gyroscope has come off. That, by the rules, that would be immobility. So, that means Pit Dodger goes through on a 2-0 victory to the next round. For our next match, we have possibly two of the scariest spinners fighting each other. Rainbow Ho, a shuffling robot, so it has little legs, and Frozen Blood 3 from Germany, which has a massive horizontal bar spinner. And so begins the match between the two monsters of the competition, with Rainbow Ho's massive flail spinner, as Frozen Blood takes a massive hit, already losing a wheel, as it seems that Rainbow Ho's weights are coming just below Frozen Blood. Frozen Blood taking some more hits, no damage done to the chassis, funnily enough. We know Frozen Blood for being quite frail in our little community, but it is taking these hits respectively. Oh, it lost a caster though, I noticed falling off there, as it comes in slowly for another hit. No damage done again to Frozen Blood. Frozen Blood attempting to move, but obviously struggling with that angled bar spinner, and the chassis, I think, having taken fairly substantial damage at this point. I saw a brace flying from somewhere. Rainbow Ho rides along the arena wall with its weaponry. That cannot be good for its spinning, for the spinning weights, as Frozen Blood goes for a spin on the air piece. Oh, the weapon's so up close. Oh, this can only go wrong. It hits. Oh, really big damage on Rainbow Ho's flail mounts, which we know are quite frail. Oh, but it knocked the engine off of Frozen Blood, and it has completely disintegrated itself. Well, this is going to be a very interesting match from here on out, because neither bot has an active weapon at this point. They have both broken off. I think Rainbow Ho might still have one of the mounts, but I can't tell from here. Yes, it does, so it's going to use that one piece. Oh, there goes that. So one of the most explosive matches suddenly becomes a push war between two angry boxers, and one of the boxers has legs. I guess Frozen Blood is scoring aggression? As is Rainbow Ho, as it continuously tries to walk into Frozen Blood's chassis, but the chassis of Frozen Blood at this point is acting as a wedge, so Rainbow Ho is actually having trouble pushing into it, as it might make it fall over, and I'm pretty sure Rainbow Ho has no means of self-righting. So this is a very dangerous matchup at this point. They are both struggling to do anything, though, of note. Frozen Blood just keeps pointing the front at it because it knows it knows Rainbow Ho has trouble dealing with this makeshift wedge. It's trying to move it into it. Rainbow Ho almost falling over again, maneuvering itself, walking into Frozen Blood. Oh, that was a big flip. Can it self-right? It used the air pit, some style points there. It's not scoring much else though, as it's trundling along slowly as Frozen Blood just faces it with the front. Frozen Blood is not scoring much of anything though, as I suppose it would be scoring control points, but it is not actively driving into Rainbow Ho. Rainbow Ho falls over and has 10 seconds to self-right. I don't think it's going to be able to do it. It's rolling around on this chassis. It's trying to roll over to the air pit again, trying to get that self-right off so desperately. Misses, and that is time. Rainbow Ho counter-died by immobility. Frozen Blood gets the first win. Let's move on to match 2. So begins match 2. Rainbow Ho's gonna have to score a win here to move on. Frozen Blood getting caught on the arena as they slowly move into each other. I think that was one of the casters flying off of Frozen Blood there. Gets absolutely flung around the arena as Rainbow Ho slowly moves in again. Rainbow Ho seems off balance. I think it might have taken some damage as it throws around Frozen Blood some more. Frozen Blood struggling to stay upright as it turns off the blade to try and get some better mobility going here. Frozen Blood is, I think, attempting to maneuver towards the pit. It's going to try and pit Rainbow Ho. It is a valid strategy as the weights go over the pit now. That could be very dangerous. Oh, but Frozen Blood falls in by itself, and that is a win for Rainbow Ho. So that's the first time we are going to get a third match. This is going to be all or nothing. Here it goes. The match that has everything on the line for these two bots. Frozen Blood going for a very odd strategy. It's going to try and back into Rainbow Ho. Let's see how this works. Oh, I see what it was trying to do. It was trying to eat up into Frozen Blood's weapon by turning the blade into it. But I think Frozen Blood has completely lost a wheel on the left side, and Frozen Blood is using traditional steering, so it's not using a gyroscope. Which means, by mobility rules, this is already questionable. Rainbow Ho, for some reason, not waiting for a timer. I guess it just wants to beat it up while it waits. It is, no, I think that is Frozen Blood out of mobility, and that is going to be the match. Rainbow Ho moves on after a death match. Well, let's move on to the next ones. Another spinner-on-spinner fight. We have Mini Marvin with defensive spinning, which is an interesting concept. However, slow spin speed. And Humdrum with a strong offensive presence. Good drive, has a frail chassis though. And so begins the first match between these two spinners. Mini Marvin gets caught on the floor, interestingly enough. Those plows must be really low to the floor. As you can see, Mini Marvin's weaponry is quite slow, and it flipped itself over using those plows. That is not ideal, as Humdrum is going to take full advantage of this. Drive it into the wall as it tries to almost flip Mini Marvin around. Gets some more hits in as it flings it into the other arena wall this time. As we said, Humdrum has a very strong offensive presence. Falls onto its face currently though, as it gets stuck on top of Mini Marvin's spinner. That is an interesting way to use that spinner. Gets it off by turning it the other way around. Spins it back up the right way. I think Humdrum's going for a tactical retreat here. It is going to go for a pit press. And Mini Marvin got caught. Oh, there it goes. And that is a win for Humdrum. Quick and efficient as we are used to from it. Let's move on to the next match. And so begins another fight. Mini Marvin has everything to play for here. Goes in with the weaponry. Almost gets a flip on Humdrum as Humdrum aggressively maneuvers towards Mini Marvin, trying to get that plow spinner stopped. Forcing him into the wall. Mini Marvin almost flips himself. Humdrum keeping the pressure on as Mini Marvin rides the air pit. Mini Marvin flips itself with the plow spinner. That is not good. Humdrum trying to get an Uta, an out of the arena KO. Not quite getting it. Mini Marvin struggling to get back up from this onslaught from Humdrum. As Humdrum is going to take some time to press the pit button here. Backing into Mini Marvin, which is an odd strategy. Mini Marvin gets the spinner back up as it has self-righted once more. Humdrum trying to position. Humdrum going for another pit KO, I think. Ooh, Mini Marvin almost jumped over. Not quite enough. And that is a 2-0 victory for Humdrum. Quick and efficient. And that sends it through to the next round. The 6 robots moving on will be fighting in a 3-way quarterfinal. consisting of Blue Bullet, Lioness, and Love Me. Pit Dodger, Rainbow Ho, and Humdrum will be the other quarterfinals. So, we will see you for the next episode of Besiege Bots.